Continuing with our commitment to further help promote local motorsports, on race weekend this week, we shall put on the spotlight one of the current exponents of motorsports in the country, not only with his outstanding record as a motorsports competitor, but because of his active role in directly promoting it. To give us more insights into the stages of motorsports in the country, here's my previous interview with our guest this week, Mr. JP Tuason. As Motoring Today, through this segment, Race Weekend, continues its efforts to promote local motorsports. We have our guest this afternoon who would talk more about motorsports and make you, our viewers, understand more about its status and how it's being developed further. And this guest, mine, this week, has racing in his genes. His father was a well-known racer, a multi-champion of that. And right now, he's so much involved in motorsports. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. JP Tuason. JP, nice to see you here.
How you doing, Tito?
So, you, like your dad, you're now deep into motorsports. But before you go into that, please let our viewers know more about you, your background. I know, aside from being one of the few ones that took formal knowledge or formal education in racing, you had other things to go through before you reach where you are now. Please tell him what they were.
So, my name is JP Tuason, and we own and operate a company called the Tuason Racing School. My background is in industrial engineering, and I graduated from De La Salle University. I raced cars with my father when I was young, and unfortunately he passed away quite early in my life. After my father passed away, I was about 20 years old. I was lucky enough to get support and sponsorship from some of my dad's friends, some corporate clients, and I was able to continue my career in motorsports. I did Formula Toyota for several years, went on to F3, and during that time I realized I wanted to be involved in the motorsports industry in the Philippines, how little it was at that time. So we got ourselves educated. We went to the US, and with what little money we had then, my wife and I, we invested in racing school classes with Skip Barber Racing, which at the time was the most prestigious racing school in the world. We studied there for several weeks. We were in the States for several months, and when we came back, we started the race school. This was in about 1999, year 2000. So we've been operating for 19 years now, and we've grown the school to the point where we do motorsports on weekends. We now run touring car programs. We do the Toyota Vios Cup. We work with BMW, Aston Martin, Ford, Peugeot, Mazda, and we've now also expanded ourselves to run the local franchise in the Philippines, Thailand, Malaysia, and hopefully other ASEAN countries for the California Superbike School. So we've gone into two wheels as well. And on the top level of our motorsports activities, we are about to launch a program called Formula V1, which will be the next step for our grassroots racers.
Before we go deep into motorsports, I just want to touch on something that's kind of close to my heart, also to Motoring Today, and that's road safety. I understand you have been and still are very involved in road safety, in teaching people to be responsible road users. Please, can you give our viewers?
Yeah. Earlier on, I was talking about our weekend activities, which is in motorsports. And what we do is from Monday to Fridays, we do a lot of road safety programs. So we work with corporate clients, insurance companies. And what we do is we educate people not how to drive, but how to drive safer. So the job of companies like A1 and the other driving schools, we let them do the basics. And where we come in is we try to give more advanced skills, which some of it are based on our motorsports background, how to become safer drivers. So we talk about things like scanning, looking far ahead, using the correct following distance. And in a year's time, we now train about 6,000 to 7,000 people. And our road safety programs have now extended across Southeast Asia. So we now have clients in Sri Lanka and Vietnam where we actually go and do road safety programs. So it's gone really well.
Okay, there was one thing I failed to mention, which you also failed to mention, and this is for the millennials who probably didn't know about what was happening about 30 years ago. JP is the son of the great Arthur Tuason. He's a well-known racer during his time. He was a multi-awarded champion in
for rally.
For rallying and even in circuit racing, I guess. Okay, having done that obligation, I should talk about that. Let's go into motorsports. Take it one at a time. There's so many things to talk about when it comes to motorsports with JP Tuason. Let's talk about Vios Cup. Your name is synonymous to Vios Cup.
Wow, thank you. I'm very, very grateful to Toyota. It's always been our dream to be involved in a one-make series of this size. We have done one-make races before the Vios Cup. It was quite small because the initiative was mostly on our side and we had some corporate sponsors. But to work with Toyota on the Vios Cup was really our dream. So we're very happy on how it's grown so quickly. We've actually become one of the largest one-make race series in Southeast Asia. We have more cars in the Vios Cup in terms of Vios models than even Thailand, who is the country which we model ourselves from. It's been a fantastic ride. The Vios Cup for this year starts up again in April. So we will have a series this year. Hope to see you all at the track. And again, we are just super happy to be a part of it. It's been a great experience and hope everybody can come out and check out the races.
The Vios Cup is really worth mentioning here. It is really a feat by Toyota. I would say two-pronged. Aside from the fact that they are responsible for not really reviving but further developing the interest for motorsports. They also did a very good marketing turnaround for the Vios. As many of you know, the Vios before was known to be a fleet car. It's used for taxi cab. As I was telling you earlier, I gave my daughter a Vios before, and she wanted me to change it right away because she was telling me, Dad, I don't want to ride a taxi cab, you know. But then after the Vios Cup, the Vios is now looked up not only as a fleet car, but a sporty racing car. And Toyota, kudos to you, you did a turnaround for that particular model. And also, you revive or further develop motorsports.
Oh, I totally agree with you there. Just to add to that, in the early 2000s when we were racing, there was a program called the Toyota Corolla Cup. It's a great program. They had about 20 cars racing. And as we were going toward the middle 2000s, they introduced a program where we had Formula Toyota. You graduated to that. And then in the late 2000s, you had F3. This was sort of the pinnacle of Philippine motorsport in the year 2000s. It was fantastic because there were lots of people coming to the track. There was lots of enthusiasts. But in 2007, 2008, the financial crisis wiped that out. So in 2013, when Toyota came in with the idea of running the Vios Cup, we didn't know how big it was going to be. So fast forward 4 years, we've sold 73 cars. We're now one of the biggest one-make races in Asia. We have 9,000 people at the track when we do the races at Clark. When we do a street race, we get close to 30,000 people that come to the races. And last year, the 4 races were put on social media and we had 1.8 million views. So there's really a resurgence in motorsport. There's a lot of following in it. And I think Filipinos really just, there's a passion for cars. And what Toyota has done is definitely not only rekindled it, but has grown it to a point where we're now at the peak of what I would say grassroots racing has ever been.
Having said that, JP, would you endorse this idea of the other players in the industry that one brand motorsport event could really help boost their sales?
I think a one-make series, when you have a one-make race series, it basically becomes a testament to the quality build of your vehicle, right? I mean, if it can last 4 years of racing and at the level of intensity that the Vios Cup was at, and you've seen some of the cars, right, flying through the air, I think it really will help you boost sales, not only to show that the car is reliable, but also to change the image to make it more sporty. So in terms of helping out as a marketing activity, it's been proven here in the Philippines, and I think it's been proven in other parts of the world. So definitely it's something that all manufacturers should look into.
JP, earlier you were also mentioning something about another venture you're going into parallel to the others.
Sure.
that you're involved in. This is a different level, a higher level of motorsports.
Yeah, so one of the passion projects that we've always wanted to do was to revive Formula racing in the Philippines. So as I said earlier, I was lucky enough to do Formula Toyota and Asian Formula 3. And I think it's still a dream for a lot of the up-and-coming racers. Unfortunately, for the last 10 years, there's been nothing around. So I've been lucky enough to have a very supportive wife. And she saw my vision and said, okay, you better run with it before you become too old to do it. So she let me get involved in this project where we've partnered with a Japanese company called West Racing. And we're going to start this year in May, the Formula V1 series. So we're actually launching at the MIAS this April. And we start with 4 weekends of racing, 1 in Batangas and 3 in Clark. And what happens is it's a single-seater with the body of a prototype car. So it kind of looks like a Le Mans prototype. The engine is a Toyota 1NZ power plant, which is the same engine that comes out of the Toyota Vios. It has 110 horsepower, but it only weighs 500 kilos, so it's only half the weight of a Vios. And to put it into perspective, the lap time of this car around Clark would be similar to the lap time of a 458 Ferrari. So it's quick. The reason why we've brought this car in is not only to revive single-seater racing in the Philippines, but to have a ladder or a progression for the young grassroots drivers to hone their skill in a proper race car and to prepare them for international racing. Because at the Vios Cup, we've had several drivers graduate into international racing, but the jump has been so big that damaging vehicles at that level becomes very expensive. So we're very proud that we've had the Grimes brothers move from Vios Cup to F4 and hopefully F3 this year. Last year's champion, Daniel Miranda, has now made the jump to Asian Formula Renault. And we're super proud of Arthur de Jong, who is a Dutch national married to a Filipina based in the Philippines. And from zero racing 3 years ago, he's now going to do Le Mans. So the idea is there's a lot of interest for people to move up, go into international racing. So we've now put in the sort of that middle ground for them to get trained before they leave. And the series is sponsored by several great local companies. So GT Tire, which is a new tire, has come in to support the series, Clean Fuel, Motul. And what we've done by working with our partners locally is put together a prize for our champion. So the champion of our local race series will get to race in Japan at the Fuji Speedway at the end of the year. So the idea is to get people into the program, get them out into Japan, get them exposed to international racing, get them prepared to battle it out with the best.
So what do guys, these racers who have reached that kind of a level do in order to get into this program?
Well, what we're looking for are graduates from the local grassroots program. So we've got drivers graduating from the Vios Cup. Once they've gotten to a certain level in the Vios Cup, super sporting class, they would probably move up into something else, which is what has already happened with other drivers. We also have the guys from the Force. They have a nice big grid of drivers. And again, after you've done it for several years, you want to move on to something more competitive. We also have guys that are doing the GT races and the guys that are doing the go-karts for many years. So all of them are moving up into this program. And what we're trying to do is move the drivers up from the grassroots programs and pulling in drivers that have experience to battle it out all together in this series so that we can increase the level of driver skill and preparing these drivers to, again, leave.
So no newbie can be accepted?
No, this is really a program for experienced or experienced drivers or those that are graduating from the grassroots. So we've been able to get some really good drivers into the series. So to give you an idea, Tyson C is actually going to come and drive. Luis Gono is going to come and drive. We're finalizing Stefan Ramirez to come and drive. So experienced drivers like that, battling against new up-and-coming drivers like Shane Henderson, UC Hoika, and some other new local drivers. And again, the idea is to bring up the level of competition in the Philippines.
So what does it take? Do they have to buy a unit?
So there are some sponsors that have come and collaborated with some of the drivers to put together a team. There are some drivers that have just gone out and bought the car and participated in the series. So for 2018, we're looking at having about 15 cars on the grid. And to spice up the program, we're going to have 1 or 2 foreign drivers come in as well. So there should be maybe a Japanese driver and possibly a Sri Lankan driver.
So when is your first race? Might as well.
Yeah, definitely. So again, we're launching in April. So hope to see you guys at the car show. And our first race will be in Batangas, second week of May. So watch out for that.
Okay, JP, thanks a lot for your time. I know you're doing a lot of things, and most of them for the development of motorsports. Thank you very much for joining.
Thank you.
Race driver, safe driving advocate, racing instructor, and sportsman, Mr. JP Tuason, our guest this week on Race Weekend.